So, and you're dead. Okay. All right. So I set up two characters here. A victim of this beating, and the beater, I suppose, or whatever name you want to give them. And okay, so in order to receive beating, I guess one of the things I also did, I'll show you real quick, is we set up a tiny animator. I put in 3 triggers: attack, damage, and death, and then a float for speed. I put up a little blend tree that uses speed, and I just got idle and walk. If we get the trigger attack, I'm going to go into an attack. If we get the trigger damaged, we do a damage. If we get the trigger death, we do death. Pretty simplistic. And if I hit play just like that, there's no logic, right? There is no logic yet. If I open the animator, if I hit attack, my little cop swings their weapon. If I hit damage, they take damage. If I hit death, they die. They die when I tell them to die. And they're both using the same animator controller. Okay. So what do we need? To receive damage doing this method, we're going to need a rigid body, and we're going to need a capsule collider. And I'm going to put this at, say, 1.3. Fits a little, actually 1.8 and 0.9 fits a little better. Now we have that. We need, obviously, some logic to take damage. I'm going to change this thing to health. Alright. Now, I'm going to have an event. Let's use damage. So we're going to take an event called damage. We're going to get properties from this event. The property name is going to be damage, and it's going to be an integer. I'm going to store it into a variable called damage. I'm then going to subtract a new variable called health. I'm going to subtract damage from it. Then I want to int compare. Put that at the bottom. Make sure everything's in order. Health, if it's 0, we're dead. If we're less than 0, we're also dead. If we're greater than 0, we're alive. Pretty simple. Pretty straightforward. Dead, alive. Alright, so what is that? Let's set animator triggers. We're going to need those. If we're alive and we took damage, we're going to say damaged. If we're took damage and we're dead, let's do death. On death, we should also disable our collider. And I don't have that, so I'm just going to drag it over here and set property to disable it. Just like that. Pretty simple. In here, there's tons of different ways, and you can build a custom shape if you want, using something like Pro Builder. So we're just going to build a box. But anyways, you can build whatever shapes you want, cones and stuff like that. Right, so here's a box. And it's going to be a trigger, and I'm going to get rid of all this crap because we don't need it. We really just need the box trigger. And you can scale this and size it. Well, not so much scale, just size it. Right, to match whatever needs you might need. Right, place it kind of wherever. And I'm going to deactivate it, I think. So let's build a get axis vector and a simple move, so we can move our character in a very, very simplistic way. So we need a character controller, and we're going to get a vector We'll go to speed of 3, space self, and we're also, okay, so we need to store the actual vector, but we're also going to store the magnitude, and I'm going to set animator float, our speed variable that we put in there, to magnitude every frame. Put that down here, and we're going to get mouse button down, so we can now move, and we can now attack. And we attack, and then we can come back here. Set animator trigger attack. Now we don't want to just instantly go back. And there's numerous ways you can do this. You can do tags and combos and stuff. In my case, I'm just going to go like a 0.6 wait and go back. Right, and that allows us, oh, I got to adjust that thing. It should be popped up in the air, but that's okay for what I'm showing. Right, because now I can swing just like that, right? So let's first fix this thing. 1.8, 0.3, 0.9. And if you want colliders on each body part, I mean, you can do that too. I mean, going with this style of the cube in front, it's really not that needed. So anyways, we need ultimately a way to communicate with our animator. So we need, let's say we make an event and we call it attack, and I'm going to put it like that. So in here, if I go into the FBX, and if you don't have the FBX, I mean, you can just go into the animation. Like right now mine say read only, that's because I have the FBX, but you can go in here and you can actually set things in here. But I've got the FBX, so I can't do that. I have to go into here and say click on this and go to the events. See, I've already kind of made one, but we're going to make another one. So I'm just going to delete this one. So we can find the spot where we're going to swing and hit. Right, so like say something like right about there, add an event. You have to use this command of send event, spelled exactly like that. Now the string can be anything, right? Because it's just going to match the event we made. So I'm going to use attack because that's what we called it. Hit apply. It does its thing. And it's now going to send this. What do we want to happen when this goes? Well, we want to activate our collider, our attacking collider, and then we want a trigger event also on our attacking collider, and we can use trigger enter. I'm gonna use triggers. Yeah, well, let's try trigger enter. Screw it. So the other thing is I'm gonna put, I think I've already put them on there. Yeah, so they're on a tag of enemy. Oh, now they're on tag of player building. Tag of enemy. You can use any tag you want. We can adjust layers and do all sorts of stuff to do all sorts of advanced little things. Right now I'm just going to give them a tag enemy, so I'm looking for tag enemy. And if I get that, I hit store collider, I hit this, right? So if we hit, what do we want to do? Well, we want to deactivate our collider. We don't need it anymore. We don't want to rapidly having this thing go off. And we need to set event properties, and we need to send an event. So in our event properties, we made one called damage in our health on our targets. It is an integer. And we can give that, say, 10. And put this down below. We want to send this damage to the thing we hit from the trigger, because it's going to have an FSM called health, and it's got a event called damage. So that there should work. Now the other thing we want to do is we are going to do a wait, because if we don't hit them, we don't want to be sitting in this thing forever. So I'm going to go just a little longer, and probably even just use the finished event. And I can go here, and I'm going to also, in this case, deactivate our collider. I'm not going to send the damage because we didn't actually hit, but I'm going to deactivate the collider. Right? And let's check. So on here we have health. Okay, cool. When it gets the event damage, it goes for the property of damage. Perfect. So let's see. Let's see what we have. We attack. Right? I move. Now I don't have strafing and stuff, and it's not smoothed out or anything, but I just clubbed them to death. Now, they didn't have any health, right? Their health was actually started at 0. We need to fix that. We need to give them like 30 health or something. All right, cool. Now, let's add one more little thing. On our weapon, let's give this thing a marker. You know, something like around there. And now, if we are going into here, let's create, normally you would do this all by references, but this is just to show you kind of how you would somewhat do this. So we need blood, impact large, URP, let's go with that one. And we're going to put it at the spawn point of our marker. So I'm in URP, which is why I had to set it like that. So, and you're dead. And I can't keep hitting them because their collider got turned off. I can just walk right through them now. But that's how we can set up a little bit of a minor health and damage system. You know, if you're running and you want to do some damage and you're playing.